사시 부기 주생 내덕tra 미랍릉시는 대연바디 상해 신등이 대우와기 조금한다 칭마 주바쇼 양무르ratnamanda kambiratayami 상예 주강석이 전남라 장주발류답이 겹슬치 다기 중예기 백승엄기 졸라벤실 상예 주바쇼 주강석이 전남라 장주발류답이 겹슬치 다기 중예기 백승엄기 졸라벤실 상예 주바쇼 상예 주강석이 전남라 장주발류답이 겹슬치 다기 중예기 백승엄기 졸라벤실 상예 주바쇼
We'll start with a meditation. So place your legs in a way that you're not holding them in any way. They're grounded and they're relaxed. Get a nice long tall spine. Soften your shoulders and your throat. And let your breathing relax and soften. Put your mind there on your breath. Really try to focus your distracted mind. You can think of the people next to you. They feel your vibration. If your mind is distracted, it will affect their meditation. So try to do it for them. And we'll go through the preliminaries. Take yourself again to that place that you've created. And place your holy enlightened Lama before you. Holding your father's hand in your right and your mother's hand on the left. And then everybody you have ever known is behind you. They are listening to your every thought. You're going to take them through a teaching. as you look into your Lama's eyes, this is also what they are experiencing. So you have to give them the highest. You are teaching them about the Lama. And try to feel in your heart some sort of gratitude for what the Lama in front of you is giving you. And then now you're going to go through in your mind why this being must be an enlightened being. You can bring your awareness back to your breathing and open your eyes when you're ready.
So, just a little announcement. John here, John's son, this past weekend he studied the material and meditated on it to an extent where he gave a teaching on Bhavana Krama to Kelly Moore's teacher training. So let's give it a...
Yeah! Just fascinating teaching.
So that's really great. That makes us really happy. So, question is, would it be better to receive these teachings from an enlightened being or from a normal person? It's a hard question. I mean, really, you want to go with what you want, what you want, But how can we prove that the Lama is an enlightened being? How can we prove that enlightened beings exist? Can we actually prove that? And if we don't prove that with reason and with logic, then we've already made the choice. Then we've chosen the first. We've chosen that that we prefer a normal person, no extraordinary anything, give us the teaching rather than the enlightened being. So we really need to make some effort to find some reasoning, that works for us. Can an enlightened being exist? Do you think that somebody in the countless thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years of people, that somebody figured out how to end suffering? That there was one person, was there one person at least that saw that suffering had a cause? And if you eliminate the cause, then suffering would end. You know? And upon realizing that fact, this individual went on to achieve that goal. And if you really think about it, then, you know, it's pretty likely. It's pretty likely, you know. And then when you really investigate the teachings themselves, and you see how accurately the description of suffering is, then you can gain some more confidence. You can gain some more confidence, because for somebody to describe so perfectly your own experience that you as an individual can verify, then there's something special, right? Then it's reason enough maybe to listen more to what that person has to say. You know, and classically speaking, they say it's due to the fact that Shakyamuni Buddha, the historical person, described suffering so perfectly that his students went on to listen very intently on what he had to teach. You know, because that type of description was so accurate and so perfect, so valid, you know, and every single person that is living here can validate the truth of it. Then it gives some real confidence in terms of what else we'll be teaching, right? And if an individual was able to see that suffering had a cause, and if you eliminate the cause, then there would be an end to suffering, do you think that they also would go on to see that ignorance itself had a cause, and that you could eliminate ignorance by going on steps in a path towards this ultimate goal? So, with that very low-level reasoning, at least, you know, then you can say, therefore, if those things are true or likely, then enlightened beings exist. You know, then His Holiness the Dalai Lama might say, you know, and for those of us who maybe have been practicing for some time, then can you see a real difference in your mind now compared to before you came in touch with the teachings? You know, increase of wisdom, you know, more higher ability to generate love and kindness, compassion towards other beings, you know, a real more effective understanding of the true nature of reality, you know, mental afflictions maybe coming down, maybe bad habits coming down. And then if you can see that type of progress for yourself in this limited time, then maybe you can see in the future that the possibility or the potential for reaching nirvana or complete and total enlightenment for the benefit of all beings is, that possibility is there. Actually, it's quite likely, right? Even just the difference between a mind of an infant compared to the mind of a teenager is so vast, you know, that it kind of maybe it marks, you know, it marks us as like perfectly right to attain enlightenment, you know, because our mind transforms through the actions that we do. So this person who's gone on to completely eliminate ignorance, right? They know that nothing has any characteristics of its own, right? They know that directly, so they are completely unlimited. They can emanate. They can emanate, right? And do you think that this being would want each and every single living being to have ultimate happiness? Right? do you think this being would want to see every single being, living being, end suffering? Right? They wouldn't want to see anybody suffer. You know, so due to their kindness and the fact that they're completely unlimited, then they can emanate in countless forms, right? As Lama James said, they can emanate as the 3 jewels in the form of New York City. They can emanate as the floor you're sitting on, you know? They can emanate as the annoying person on the subway teaching you patience. They can emanate in they can emanate as a sound, you know? But do you think that they would emanate as all these different various types of things, but they're not going to emanate as the person who's talking to you about the Dharma? You know, of course, they will emanate as the thing that is the purest, highest part of your mind, right? They would emanate as that too. They would emanate as every single detail of an environment where you are able to discuss and think about, contemplate compassion for other beings, right? Purifying, you know, perfecting your ethics and developing wisdom, right? Of course they would emanate in that situation. You know, so then with those reasonings, with some level of reasoning, then you have a more solid approach, you know, about how to view the Lama, right? About how to view the Lama. And Lama James notes that there's no teaching that you're actually at, right? There's no teaching separate from you that you're seeing, you know? So as a teacher, when you're faced with students, then you can really recognize that these individuals are parts of your mind that haven't gotten the memo yet, in Lama James's words, you know? And then he goes on to say that for the teacher, there's nothing higher than an enlightened being emanating as a student, so that due to your reflection on the teachings, due to your meditation on the teachings and your efforts, then you have an opportunity to share what you've learned, you know? And it really is interesting, you know, Lama James, he always is switch it from the side of the student to the side of the teacher. And I think maybe, when we were in his class and he's saying that to us, right? So then it's kind of a clue, because it's so important. Because as soon as you have this, it's not just vocabulary, right? But it's a specialized vocabulary for these extraordinary ideas that are being presented. As soon as you have that, it's almost like you automatically have a responsibility, right, to share that with people. And it doesn't mean indoctrinate others, but I think simply by virtue of your ethics and, you know, your morality and your behavior and your kindness getting sweeter and sweeter, then people just start to say, what is he doing? And what is she doing? Like, what's going on with you? And then some opportunities come like that, you know what I mean? So at this point in the text and here in this class, we've reached where we're going to talk about eliminating the obstacles to omniscience, right? So Master Kamalashila told us about one root mistake. What was it? Belief in functioning things, right? So if we eliminate the belief in functioning things, then we eliminate all obstacles. So by not believing in functioning things, then as we discussed in the last class, all the obstacles to nirvana are completely gone, right? Because then you're never going to react negatively to someone coming to you with negativity, you know? You're never going to act angry towards someone who's acting angry towards you, because you see directly that it's not, you're not a victim, you know, that you can transform what's happening with your own virtue, with your own ethical activity, right? So at that point, and we've gone through like the reasoning of the different emptiness analysis. So here then we see that you're recognizing that everything is like a mental image, right? It's all mind. So remember how the mind was like having the nature of holding the object, right? It was like a holder. It holds the experience. It holds perception. And then the object was that which is held by the holder, right? So once there's no object to hold, then the holder of the object has nothing to hold, so it doesn't have that nature, right? And in that way, then you start to get to a place, there was no thing, it's all mind, you know, and mind doesn't quite have that nature of holding the thing, but really there's like a really subtle nature of mind, that it's just clear. It's like luminescent. It's clear, and it's like it's clear and knowing, kind of like that, right? So this is getting kind of to a subtler level of the analysis, because once you see there's no object, then it's all mind. But once you see the nature of mind is to hold the object, well then that nature of mind is not there. But what you're left with is this subtle nature of mind. It's clear. It's clear. It's luminescent. It's knowing, right? So that's a leftover. That's actually a mistake, because you have to go further than that, right? Because the mind itself has no qualities of its own. Because if it did have qualities, then it could not grow up gradually, right? If it did have any unchanging quality of being clear and knowing whatsoever, then it could never interact with changing things, right? Then it could not evolve, you know? And maybe like just as a logical reasoning, not so big deal. But the big deal is then that it means you can't become enlightened, you know, because enlightenment is abandoning the karma to have mind appear as ignorant, right? So we have to recognize that the appearance of mind in the present is coming from causes, right? And therefore it has no qualities of its own. Kind of mean the mind's most special characteristic is that it's empty, you know? The most beautiful characteristic of mind is that it's empty. Last class we came home and Francis, our 17-month son, so cute. He's so cute. And when we come home, I said, wow, he's so cute. And I said to Nancy, it's hard to believe that the most beautiful quality of Francis is that he's empty. So really, to get that deep in, then you have to really meditate on emptiness, you know, because that is his most beautiful characteristic. But oh man, that's hard to see, you know. And same with any beautiful experience that you're having. Usually we want to get pulled into the experience, and that's enough. We don't want to think about its true nature. But really, any good experience, there's something just more beautiful. Just more beautiful. It's a characteristic of that thing, you know. And to really have the momentum to be, wow, look at its emptiness, then some meditation is required, right? So once we eliminate the idea of mind having any fixed qualities, any quality of its own whatsoever, then we reach omniscience, right? That's like the final hurdle to get over. And remember last class we talked a lot about the emptiness of the mind. We talked a lot about the emptiness of the mind. And the main point is, if we don't see that the Lama has no qualities, then we will fail. We will fail. In order to reach a paradise, in order to enter into a paradise, in order to transform what's here now into a paradise, then we have to see things have no qualities. Because the worst possible scenario is you find something that you regard as holy, and then it shifts, and then you start to talk bad about that. And it just plants this really, really tough obstacle for you to get over, because it's basically you saying that you don't want to be around holy things anymore. And Lama James says, when it shifts, you will suffer and you'll get on this downward spiral. You'll just get on this downward spiral. And then it's really like gambling. Then it's really like playing the lottery. You don't, just because you're not angry right now doesn't mean there's not anger in your mind. It's doesn't mean the karma for anger is not in your mind. When we think of things ignorantly, then we're just giving up. We're just saying whatever comes might come. But there's so many types of karmas that are there. We want to create the conditions for special karmas to come. So just like we don't know the negative karmas that are there, then we also don't know the positive karmas. Both, we're not seeing the true kind of potential for both of those sides, So we want to, just like the gardening thing, we really need this really beautiful, fertile soil, so that the plants that will grow will be beautiful, 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 And most important is the Lama. Because here's a person, or here's however you want to regard them. Here is someone who represents, a pure a pure manifestation of your mind. Absolutely pure. A special occasion. It's like a holiday. It's like if there was a holiday where all you did was speak about wisdom and compassion, then every time you're with your Lama, it's that holiday. So like that.
I think it would be a really good idea whenever you do your fourth preliminary on the Lama to think on the emptiness, just do a short analysis of the emptiness of the Lama, and then it will keep you safe from getting on a downward spiral. Because, Ori says getting on that spiral is when you speak negatively, but you can have these little thoughts too that you don't catch, these kind of judgments, and then that gets you on the downward spiral, and you see it you can see it happen with other students. Like I wanted to share this story, and then for some reason I didn't last class, but there was like maybe 5 of us studying with Lama James and Lama Lisette privately, and one of the people, we went through many courses of teachings with them. And one of the people, he was kind of having a hard time, and eventually stopped coming to the class, and Lama James shared with us that he had written this letter that was like, these are the reasons why you can't be an enlightened being. And it was just like so sad to hear that, and to see that he had written this letter that was like basically throwing up a big obstacle for himself for the rest of his path, And I think the reason why they shared it with us was because they really wanted us to understand their emptiness. They wanted us to see that maybe for the rest of us we were like enamored with them, and still it could have been in some self-existent way. And then there was this person who was the flip, and that he fell off. And we could just as easily do the same, because we were holding some sort of self-existent qualities to the Lama still, and they wanted us to really see that. So, there will be you know, when you do have a Lama, there will be times when the Lama appears ordinary, right? It just happens, because we talked about how our karma is, our behavior vacillates, and so of course our perceptions vacillate. So is it that they are really enlightened beings and we're just not seeing them that way? Is that it, John?
Wait, what? Close. The question is...
Is it that the Lama really is an enlightened being and you're just not seeing them that way?
Well, I think... Yeah. At least your own obstacles that prevent you from seeing the enlightened nature of all.
No!
No!
It's not true, right? It's like, Lama Krishna gives this example. In Diamond Mountain... In Diamond Mountain, it's always, they drive a lot in the dark, right? In the pitch black darkness. So she gives the example of you're driving down the road at night, dark, and you see this thing scurry across the road, and you brake, you know. And then, so in one moment you think like it's an animal scurrying, we'll say mouse, right? You see this thing and you're like, oh, it's a mouse, and you brake. And then in the next moment you look and you say, oh, it was just a leaf. So, is it a mouse or is it a leaf, right? One moment you thought you had a perception that it was a mouse. Next moment you said, oh, it's a leaf, and then you have, oh, that was a misperception of a mouse, right? So,
both.
Did you have a misperception of a mouse and really it was a leaf?
No.
No, right? This is the same question about the Lama. Yeah, you can't say that. You can't say that it's one or the other, it's both or it's neither. Because in the moment that you saw the mouse, it was a valid perception, right? And what's the definition of a valid perception? This is like from course 13 of ACI.
Either it's through authoritative sources.
You don't even have to go that far.
Okay.
A valid perception is whatever you call valid, whatever you see as valid in the moment. That's a valid perception. So, Lama James said the mantra that you should have for this class is everything is valid, nothing is correct. Everything is valid, nothing is correct. What's the definition of deceptive reality? It's basically how it appears and how it exists are different. How it appears and how it is are different. That's just deceptive reality. And what's ultimate reality? Ultimate reality is how it appears and how it is are the same. Right? So you can say that whatever is appearing to you anytime is deceptive, unless you're seeing emptiness directly.
Including the Lama.
Including the Lama. Yeah. It's everything is deceptive, everything is valid, but nothing is correct. So at what point did the mouse become a misperception? The moment that you labeled it a misperception. Right? It's all about a shift in your karma. You had the karma to see a mouse, then you had the karma to see a leaf, then you had the karma to call the mouse a misperception. That's what's happening. And so how does this relate to the Lama?
Could be the same.
Right. Your perception is always shifting. Right? So your perception of the Lama is always shifting. And Maria already answered this. Like, are they a holy being or are they a normal person? Neither. Right? Neither one. Both are valid. Neither one is correct. So somebody who hears this could go to the extreme of saying, well, if everything is valid, then I should just interact with things as they appear to me, because it's valid. And so what's wrong with that?
You're limiting yourself. You see now. You're being fooled.
Because it's what we've always been doing, right?
Yeah.
We've always just reacted to things as they appear. And we know by now that how you treat something in the moment creates the result in the future, right? So you see your lama as normal, you will see your lama as normal in the future. Right? It perpetuates the cycle. Remember, we learned all those steps in Maitreya. We understand that we have the seed to see something as self-existent. Then we're either attracted to it or we're not attracted to it. Then we either like it or we dislike it. Then we react to it and we create some sort of karma that makes us cycle in a cycle. Right? So that's no different than just saying, oh, it's valid what I'm seeing, so I might as well just react to it as I see it. And then what we have to arrive at is we have to see that everything that's appearing in deceptive reality, which is everything we've ever known up till we see emptiness directly, is just a mental image. It's all made of the same stuff, right? And it's like the appearance of the lama as holy, the appearance of the lama as normal, they're made of the same stuff. And that's good news, because that means it's a shift. It's just going to take a small shift in your perception to take you to the highest and to stay in that. And that's what it's really, this class is not about the mouse or the leaf, even though when the mouse and the leaf thing came up, it was like a source of debate at Diamond Mountain for a long time, and people were like really hot on talking about the mouse and the leaf. As you should, because it's really interesting. It gets to like the, what does it mean? What is a mental image exactly? And so it helps you to sort of discuss it with other people. But who cares about a mouse and a leaf? We're talking about how to get to omniscience, how to get to enlightenment. And would it, like Ori last said in the beginning, would it be more beneficial to have your lama be an enlightened being, or to have your lama be just this normal person? And the thing about it is that when you hold the line of your lama as an enlightened being, it creates hugely different results in your world. And like we said in a couple classes ago, that's how you use the lama to get to enlightenment. You need something that powerful and that heavy to create a strong enough and powerful seeds to get you over the hurdle that is the ignorant mind.
So two different mental images, right? Lama as ordinary, lama as an enlightened being. Totally equal. They're just two mental images. They're both completely empty. But they give rise to dramatically different results. Dramatically different results. One mental image, anger. Another mental image, compassion. Totally equal. Two mental images, totally empty. But they give rise to dramatically different results. Right? So when you're in your meditation, and you in the preliminaries, so that then the lama comes, right? Oh, body of light, outline, whoa, eyes looking beautiful. You're the only one I want to be with in the world, like they're looking at you like that. And then you can say, sometimes you look really ordinary, but other times you look really amazing. Sometimes I'm studying with you, or I see a picture of you, or whoever it is. You seem like you have all of the greatest qualities in the world. You have all the qualities that I myself would like to have. But other times, you seem painfully ordinary, painfully schmucky. And you say, okay, now choose the mental image that's going to get you to your goals in the quickest path. You see? Choose the mental image that's going to get you to your ultimate goal in the quickest path. You are an enlightened being. You do have a body of light. You have infinite compassion. You have ultimate omniscience. And then you're there with this being for the rest of your meditation. You have kind of this special blessing that's happening. You're at the very, very least, bottom level, you're in the presence of your own idea of what compassion and wisdom can lead to. At the very least. And at best, you thought of an enlightened being, and because of that, they came to be with you in your meditation. And they're there with you in your special place, you know. And we talked about like Tsin San, right? Holding the line. So you make a choice. What's going to get me to my goal in the quickest path? And you hold the line about how you're viewing your Lama. You know, you hold the line how you're viewing the Lama, knowing that none of your perceptions are correct in and of themselves, right? With that wisdom, and because of that, your Lama multiplies. So I was thinking about that, and what it made me think about was Nancy, because she's my Lama. And when we first started teaching the class, then I was always say, in the first class I would say, all of my greatest qualities come from her when I'm introducing her. And then this class, I felt so like inspired to be like, my greatest qualities come from all these different people. And that just, it's just like to show, you start with one, and then it just starts multiplying. It starts multiplying, and you start to see your Lama in more and more beings in your world. You know, it's the connection. It's hard to really hold the line to see that there's no qualities out there, you know, in and of themselves, coming from out there, you know. And we might go into work and see someone say, "Oh, this guy again? Oh God." And then we don't see the connection when we come home to our partner feeling like that's what they're thinking about us. But that's what's happening, you know, because they have no qualities of their own. Every one of your deeds is creating a multitude of worlds, you know. So microcosm is your apartment, that's one world, and then obviously universes and continents and planets and all like that, right? And when you're perfecting how you're using your compassion, you know, this is motivated by compassion. So sometimes there's a disconnect. I understand compassion and I understand wisdom of emptiness, but I'm not seeing a real connection. Like I can see how I could generate compassion and then kind of try to hold that umbrella over some emptiness analysis, but I don't really see. And the answer is, thinking of emptiness is the most compassionate thing that you can do, because ignorance leads to suffering. So if you see someone that's suffering due to their own ignorance, there's only one way to eliminate ignorance. Is that usually we think, oh, I want to think of the details of their suffering so I can really, you know, I want to think of their situation. I want to nitpick and see if I can advise them to go this direction or that direction. But really, automatic, motivated to think about emptiness. Because then you're really helping to eliminate the ignorance which gives rise to suffering. And then once you've reflected on the emptiness of it, then your ethics will kind of come to be more and more pure. Then it's totally selfless, everything that you're going to do. Then you're really getting rid of any kind of self-interest and other things that are lurking down there when you're trying to approach the problem. So it's like a long journey between I want to fix things by going through it and cracking it and like that, and really just knowing that the best way to help someone who's suffering is to think about emptiness, you know, and then do something, obviously, right? Do something, you know, don't be lazy. And as you start to, you know, as your actions get more and more perfected, and you become sweeter and sweeter, and your wisdom is just going higher and higher, then you are entering a mandala. There's no other mandala than the one that's created by treating others like they are the highest. Just like whoever they are. It could be the homeless dude that you've been seeing for the past 7 years every single morning, and all of a sudden you start treating him like he is the highest in your mind, and you know, with some kind, obviously some kind of outer action and respect or whatever it is that you're doing, then your world starts to change. Then you really start to enter into a mandala, and a mandala is like a complete universe, you know. And it's like in the yoga of the Lama in the preliminaries, right? The preliminary of the Lama, and you have that special place. It's a place, right? It's surrounded by this beauty, and these advanced practitioners, they can create this intricate, insane, beautiful, beautiful mandala, like a building almost, like a perfect place, and then they can go all the way in to the center room, maintaining it, and then go in the center room, and then sit there with their Lama, you know? So that's like, and that's what we do, like when we go into our bedroom at night. That's where we are. We're in the central room. We're in the central room of this greater perfect world. You know, so anytime you regard someone as your Lama, then you're at the center of this atomic explosion that's happening. Where you regard them as a Lama, you treat them as the highest thing, and then they just start popping up all over you, and then you try to run away and they're just catching you. You know? They're hunting you down. So, you know, a good exercise to really start to, you know, like get into this idea, you know, really start to think about the qualities of an enlightened being, like the qualities of a Lama, like what are they experiencing? Like try to put yourself in their shoes, you know. Is it an exercise? Maybe so, but even more so is it an action, a thought, an action, a karma. You know, it's like, just like Nancy last said, you think of your Lama as ordinary. It's a cause. You know, it's a cause. It will produce a moment of your Lama being ordinary. It will, you know. Once the cause is there, the result is going to happen, right? So then you're really thinking about the amazing quality. So like, give me some amazing quality of some Lama enlightened being. Does anything?
Radiant.
What?
Radiant.
Great
Radiant.
compassion.
Great. Okay, so they're radiating great compassion. So then think about that. Like, sit there and think about what would it feel like to have infinite love for every single being that you come in contact with, and you're touching every being in the entire universe in the same way. You know, just, and then you sit there and you really contemplate, what would that be like? You know? What would it be like to be so concerned with the experience of every single being like they're your only child, like they're your only child, you know? Then that would inspire you to become this gigantic fiery monster raging out of compassion, to stop any obstacles that will prevent these beings from reaching ultimate happiness, right? It would inspire you to do whatever it took. And then if they had any pain, then you would just say, give it to me. I know what to do with it. Give it to me. You know? to every single being. And it's hard to imagine just for one. So imagine for millions, billions, trillions, countless beings. Just imagine that idea. Just imagine that. That karma is so special. Just saying it, I get that karma. It's so special, you know. And then omniscience, the omniscient mind. The omniscient mind. You know, seeing the karma, you know, seeing the karma for each individual's perception. You know, like now, I don't know what to do with my son. So he's crying, I pick him up, put him down, put him this way, put him that way. I don't know if it's gonna help. I said maybe it's better to get him to stop crying. Or maybe it's better that he cries for 2 minutes longer. I have no idea. But imagine knowing exactly what it is that's going to get someone closer to their ultimate evolution. Like, just imagine like something, whatever it is, and passing it to someone, and as you're passing it, you know fully that this is going to get them to enlighten. Can you imagine? And it's infinite, so I'm just like one action, but imagine infinite. Imagine infinite space. Imagine knowing all things. Imagine being able to see past, present, and future. You know? So imagining it, you know, really thinking about those qualities, that gives us fuel. That gives us fuel to want the goal, to really want it desperately. Why not? Why not desperately? Why not? You know, why not desperately wish that no one ever had to suffer? You know, and that desperation gave rise to you acting sweetly to everybody you come in contact with. You know, so we really have to find some inspiration. Remember, like bodhicitta, right? The wish for enlightenment. And it really is, it's like this wish, like, I wish that I could be enlightened so that nobody has to suffer, so that I could really help. You know, so it's not just playing the lottery anymore. You know? It's as I wish I could just act on other people's behalf. You know? So that I could have ultimate happiness, and for every being have ultimate happiness. You know? So right now we're totally constrained. We put like the ignorant mind misapprehending the nature of things is like this tiny little prison. Thinking of our own needs is just this tiny little prison. It's dividing all these different things. All these arbitrary lines which are dividing up our world and telling us what we can do and what we can't do. And we think that all those lines are self-existently there. We think they're uncaused. We think the world, the universe is divided into these areas, and those areas are there, uncaused, unchanging, right? But these are all just ideas, right? It's all just ideas. You know, it's like between me and you, we think they're so different. There's a line right there. And there's amazing proofs that the line isn't really there. That it's even a choice. It's a choice that we're making. You know, it's a choice. Because I'm here, but my future self isn't here. Right? I'm here, but my future self isn't here. And still I'll go to the store and I'll get groceries so my future self won't be hungry. Right? So what is this line? I call my future self me, but I don't call her me. Because it's just an idea. It's a choice I'm making about it. I'm making the choice she's not me, but the future self is me. You see? So it's just a line, and we can choose to regard other people's needs as our own needs. Right? We can choose to regard other people's needs as what we need, and then we get to create happiness. Right? Then we get real fulfillment, even more. And then there's a line between what we know and what we don't know. Right? Between ignorance and between wisdom. And even that line is a mental image. That line was produced by karma. That idea, it's an idea, it's a construct. Right? It's a kuntak. You know, I'm still talking about it. And having a mental image that we know, right? Having a mental image that we know and having a mental image that we don't know create vastly different results. Vastly different results. And in the higher teachings, which are often called the result path, it's because once you've studied emptiness and karma, you realize what I hold in my mind is creating results. Is creating results that hurt or feel good or stress me out or make me feel free or like that. So then you look in the textbook of what are the mental images which give the highest results. On what authority? On the authority that this person described suffering in such a way that I consider that they might be a realized being, and so on and so forth, right? And then in the meditation that we did, in the meditation assignment, then we find the mental image of outside and inside is very different, right? But was the mental image of inside and outside of a different nature? Two mental images, they share the same nature, right? They're totally equal. You know, same with all these different divisions. I don't know what else. One thing Lama Lizette says, which I think is important, she says, I sit there in my meditation and I have all these amazing visualizations of a perfect body, perfect world, body of light, and then I come out and it looks totally ordinary. And I'm saying that the one that I see when I come out of meditation is correct. And the one that I see inside of meditation is totally incorrect. And that idea that the one outside is correct and the one inside is incorrect is coming from karma. And she said, I don't want it to be like that anymore. I don't want the image that I have in my meditation as soon as I come out of it to regard it as incorrect. You know? It's an important point.
Okay. So let's think about that again. So you're in meditation, you are really deep and single pointed, and you're meditating on your body as being in this paradise form. So you have this body of light, and you're so still that everything falls away except for this body of light, and you are that body of light. Then you come out and then you say, oh, I'm actually this body that's decaying, and that was just a meditation. So what's happening, right? Why is it that one functions to be more real for me and the other one doesn't? What's going on? Anybody want to give an idea about it? Why do I call one experience my body and the other one just a meditation?
Situation, karma.
Yeah, we call, well, it's karma. And we call one real, and so it functions as real. right? We're so habituated to believing that this is me, and so therefore it functions as me. This functions as my body. The other one I call just a meditation, and so therefore that's how it functions. And it's like you're every time thinking that way, you're instilling one with more reality than the other one. And that's the mistake. They're both mental images, but they both function very differently. And like Ori was saying, deceptive reality, deceptive things hurt. Deceptive things can help. Deceptive things can free you. That's how you can actually travel the path to enlightenment. You're doing it through deceptive reality, but you eventually get to enlightenment, right? So you use that, and you choose to habituate your mind to the image that will free you. So Master Kamal Shila talks about this in the reading, and you'll see also Jetsun Kappa talks about this, that there has to be some difference between the mental image of yourself as an omniscient being and then actually being an omniscient being. There must be a difference, right? There has to be a difference, because I don't experience the reality of an omniscient being. So there must be some difference. What is it? What's the difference between the mental image of an imagined thing and the mental image of an object, of a changing thing? So this is your homework question from the last reading, and it talks about the nature of constructs. So let's go through a couple of definitions. So a construct is defined as something that lacks a true nature of having defining characteristics. A construct is something that lacks a true nature of having defining characteristics. So a construct doesn't have defining characteristics. A changing thing lacks a true nature of its own because it's a caused thing. However, nominally it has defining characteristics. Nominally. So, in Master Kamala Shila, in this reading, it's interesting because there's a quote from Master Kamala Shila that Jetsun Kappa quotes in his book. He quotes Master Kamala Shila from a text called Light on the Middle Way. And it's interesting to get Master Kamala Shila from two different texts, right? And in this text, he says there has to be a difference. He's talking about the difference between the mental image of an object and the mental image of an imagined thing, because they don't function the same way. And he says, why not? And Jetsun Kappa is asking the same question too. And they're made of the same stuff, but there must be a difference, because otherwise I could imagine myself as an enlightened being and then I would be one. And like we said, the fact that they're both mental images means that all it takes is just a shift in perception. And so eventually it might flip, and it could happen like that. And that's why your meditation is so important.